Terry Mosher was such a hit last year that we just had to have him back. He carries on his questionable profession, his black and ungentlemanly art as an editorial cartoonist under the pen name, the nom de plume, the nom de guerre, Aislinn. And I won't delay you one more second.
I'm going to sit, because for one thing, Moses has all kinds of neat stuff, and I'm going to be showing you some funny bits, so I'll need to check my notes a little bit here. I'm listening before to all this wonderful work that people are doing on neutrinos and Sudbury and that sort of thing, and Albert Einstein. I was trying to think of how a cartoonist might have changed things. And I remembered one of my favorite stories about a cartoonist who was working in the early part of the 20th century by the name of Ted Dorgan. He was a sports cartoonist in New York. And back then, every newspaper worth its salt had a sports cartoonist. I think we could probably revive that art form. The sports world could use something like that these days. But Ted was at the Polo Grounds in New York watching a Giants game. And they had to draw these cartoons filled with little things going on, what the fans were saying and that sort of thing, wonderful stuff. And there was a guy selling something new in the stadium. German fellow was selling hot Dachshunds. And so he went back to his newspaper office and he sat down. He said, "How the hell do you spell Dachshund?" Couldn't spell it, so he wrote hot dog. And that's how the word hot dog got started. Otherwise, at lunch, you'd be going out and buying hot Dachshunds from one of those stands there. I think cartoonists take a certain, and humorists take a certain pride in not being all that swift, but being very clever. I enjoyed Rick's presentation yesterday very much, especially when he was talking about the business of getting an honorary high school diploma. I mean, I could relate to that 100%. I'll tell you why, because when I applied to go to the École de Beaux-Arts in Quebec City, they said, "Well, that's fine, Mr. Mosher, very good. You're going to get in, just bring us in your high school diploma." And I said, "Well, yes, I will." And I went home and I drew it. So there you go. Actually, academics have taken a certain interest in this. They did a big study in the 1980s on political cartooning and what we're all about. And they sort of took all the subject matter of the time, the Ronald Reagans and Acid Rain and Tammy Faye Baker and all that stuff we were dealing with in cartoons, and threw it all into a big hopper and came to the conclusion that political cartoonists are for absolutely nothing. They're against everything. I don't know if that's true so much as we're puzzled by everything, and we do that for people. That's really what we have to do. We put things in cartoons, we put words in cartoons that you can't say in polite society, but we can get away with it, and you get a kick out of it. I'm going to show you a few examples here. The New Yorker, which is a magazine I buy just to read the pictures, has some of the best cartoons in the world, and when they're on, they're wonderful. Now, let me do it this way. I think I've got this. All right, parent-teacher meeting. All been there, you know, and what sort of cut line do you write for this? Think about it. You know, now usually it would be sort of, you know, your child has issues or that sort of thing. This is wonderful. You know what the cut line is? Something perhaps the teacher really wants to say? Your daughter is a pain in the ass. I have no doubt teachers hung that up all over North America after that appeared. This next cartoon is probably my all-time favorite New Yorker cartoon by Sam Gross. And it's a wonderful thing. It's what they used to teach you in art school, the business of the art coming in, how the eye moves into a photograph or a visual and moves in and around and back and that sort of thing. It's beautifully drawn. But also, I think cartooning sort of confronts things that fear us. That's why we have so many St. Peter at the Gate kind of cartoons, because it's, you know, we're thumbing our noses at death and that sort of thing. Well, in this particular case, it's doggy heaven, right? And all the little doggies are kind of flying in and lining up in front of the sort of the doggy St. Peter, whatever he is. And what do you think the doggie's saying? You know, he's been a good doggy all his life. And what's he saying to that St. Peter doggy? Is there any chance of getting my testicles back? I think cartoons, too, expressed that Canadian skepticism about the war with Iraq. You know, we had this idea that this war is becoming sort of infotainment in a certain way for the Americans. Here's the guy saying, you know, war okay, but not before the Super Bowl. And these catchphrases come up. I mean, the business of weapons of mass destruction. So I'm playing with that at the drawing board, and I came up with the concept here. I drew future weapons of mass cultural destruction, a Baghdad Mall filled with, you know, Payless shoes and Victoria's Secrets and that sort of thing. I think if you look at Canadian cartoons, they express the sort of the puzzlement about all of this stuff because we live nice sort of comfortable little lives here. Brian Gable is so good at this in the Globe and Mail, a wonderful cartoonist, but these sort of world issues. And he drew this one cartoon I love of suicide bombers in the Middle East. And, but one guy's only got one stick of dynamite, right? So he's a political moderate. So we're really better on this stuff, I think, collectively. You know, we're really fortunate. We have so many good cartoonists in this country in Canada, and they're sort of bopping along in Halifax or Victoria, wherever it happens to be, and having a lot of fun. But we do sort of touch base on collective issues. Last week, for example, on the same-sex marriage thing, I had a lot of fun with that. Could work, you know? So at the same time, even though I'm poking fun at it, the fact that same-sex marriage is now, in effect, legal in 9 provinces out of 10, according to the Globe and Mail this morning, and the fact that the legalization of marijuana, I'm really proud to be a Canadian. I mean, this stuff happening despite what's going on in the world. Lily Tomlin is getting the Kennedy Center's Mark Twain Prize for American Humor this year. And in a statement, the Kennedy Center said her comedy is meaningful because, like Twain's, it expresses truths we already recognize unconsciously, and she allows us to embrace our frailties without shame or embarrassment. Exactly. Let me read that again. Humor allows us to embrace our frailties without shame or embarrassment. That's what it's all about. We're doing this, can we laugh at ourselves? Freud wrote about the business of the importance of humor in society. The importance of the individual who has weaknesses, but they can laugh at it as opposed to being defensive about it, take that and apply to it as society. We live in a very good society in Canada because we're poking fun at ourselves like the Australians do and other very healthy societies all the time. And I think we can congratulate ourselves for that. Sometimes, though, you've got to wonder a little bit. We're healthy, yeah, but can we do that? Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on the situation. We do have editors. We do have people who just they can't go that far. I'm going to close with this. This is a cartoon I never even bothered drawing, but it's a possible cartoon. Given the sort of the spirit of the newsrooms in the CanWest organization. News item, Winnipeg wiped out by West Nile virus. Journalists rejoice. There you go.